Good morning. Um, there was a quote from Sylvia Boorstein that I talked about during the retreat last weekend that I wanted to bring here on Sunday morning because it's just really so comprehensive and well said. I'll read the whole thing and then I'll talk about it. This is Sylvia. The practice of mindfulness is the practice of knowing what's happening in the moment, externally and within oneself. It's knowing the feeling tone that's accompanying what's happening, knowing the state of mind that's accompanying what's happening, knowing the kindest, most compassionate, most wholesome response to that moment, what it would be, what would that response be? And then making that response. So, in just a few sentences, Sylvia has packed in nearly the whole eightfold path. Um, so she begins with the words, the practice of mindfulness is the practice of knowing. This is really significant. The practice of mindfulness is the practice of knowing. Knowing, being conscious of, being aware of, being focused on. Mindfulness is the base of this entire practice. If you are not aware, if you don't know, if you're not conscious of what is occurring in this moment, then it's incredibly difficult to make good decisions about what to do next, how to respond to what's occurring. When we are ignorant of what is occurring in the moment, our responses are purely habitual, instinctive, and hit or miss, whether it's what is in alignment with your values or out of alignment with your values. Only by knowing what is occurring in this moment, both externally and within oneself, is it possible to have some agency, some choice over how to respond. The practice of mindfulness is the base of our practice. So Sylvia starts off by saying this, the practice of mindfulness is the practice of knowing what's happening in the moment, externally and within oneself. But then Sylvia goes on to say that there are two really significant experiences that co-arise or help produce um, the sense, the knowing of what's happening in this moment. The first one I'll talk about is what you bring with you to this moment. It could be simply what was occurring, just before. For instance, if this morning you had a very leisurely morning and wandered down to, your computer or your phone or whatever, and turned it on to be part of this group this morning. Um, there's a leisure that you're bringing with you. If, on the other hand, the opposite, you were rushed, you were late, you were like had a bunch of stuff to do, or you got up late and you got here, then what you brought with you was a sense of being rushed. Um, for the 4,722nd time, I'm going to tell the story of Harvey. Um, this is an illustration of what Sylvia says, knowing the state of mind that's accompanying what's happening. So the story of Harvey, which probably everyone has heard, but maybe not. Uh, you wake up one morning. You had, oh, you know what? I'm going to tell you who Harvey is first. Harvey is a friend of yours. Harvey is an absolutely lovely person. Really a sweetheart, a great person. You know, you've known Harvey for many, many years. Harvey does have one quality that is important to this story, which is once Harvey begins talking to you, Harvey finishes a thought and starts the next one without taking a breath. Harvey continues and continues and continues and continues, rarely giving you a chance to either rest, take a break from conversation, or for that matter, share in the conversation. Harvey just goes on. One morning you wake up and you had a very stressful day the day before. You had a terrible night's sleep, tossing and turning. You wake up in the morning, you're cranky, you're like out of sorts, you don't feel so great. And you look out the window and it's drizzling, it's cold, it's really kind of miserable out. Reflects your mood. And you go to the kitchen to make coffee and you realize you have no energy to do it. You decide you're going to walk down to the cafe that's nearby and get yourself your favorite cup of coffee there and maybe a treat because you need it. So you're heading down to the cafe. You're on the block. The cafe's on. You have one street to cross. And all of a sudden, around the corner comes Harvey. And your response is like this: oh no. You know, you don't want to be delayed. You don't have the patience to listen. You do love Harvey, that's not a question. But just in this moment, it's like you want to cross the street so he doesn't see you. You want to like brush past him with no acknowledgement and just get to the cafe. You are just not open to this at all. New scenario. You had a wonderful day yesterday. You had a great night's sleep. You woke up in the morning refreshed and delighted. You look out the window, the sun's shining. It looks really nice out there. You head to the kitchen to make a cup of coffee and you think, "Oh, I don't want to sit and have a cup of coffee by myself. I'm going to go down to the cafe, see who's there, so I could have some social time." So you wander down to the cafe, you're walking down the block toward that the cafe is on, and you just have one street to cross, and around the corner comes Harvey. and a big smile bursts out, and you shout out, Harvey! What's the difference? You're walking down the same exact street, heading for the exact same place. Harvey walks around the corner at the exact same time. The two experiences are not similar at all, except for the actual experience. What is different is the mind state that's accompanying what's happening. This is what Sylvia is referring to. The practice of mindfulness is the practice of knowing what's happening in the moment. Also, knowing the state of mind that's accompanying what's happening. What's happening in the moment, it goes through your senses into a perceptual system and an awareness, a knowing, a consciousness that has been totally textured by what mind state is currently present. The mind state is created by whatever has been going on before that moment. It's very critical as awareness is developed of what is occurring in the present moment, that there is knowledge, there is understanding that what is happening in the present moment is textured and flavored by what came with you to that moment, what your past experience is. And this past experience doesn't just have to be the night before. It could be the result of um, your ancestry. You know, your ancestors had certain patterns. Your great grandmother passed something to your grandmother, who passed something to your mother, who passed it to you, both genetically and nurture wise. And you bring that to the moment as well. Or perhaps you bring the way that you've been wrestling with that all your life to the moment. It shapes and textures your perception of what it is that you're experiencing in the moment. This is the state of mind that is accompanying what's happening. So, in a way, what you're saying is the past is present in whatever way the past is present in the moment that's occurring. Then the second thing that Sylvia says, it's knowing the feeling tone that's accompanying the moment. So in one case in the Harvey story, after a bad night, the feeling tone that accompanies seeing Harvey is unpleasant. Unpleasant in some ways can simply be not my preference, not what I wanted. Or you had the great night's sleep, it's beautiful out, you're looking for company, you come down the block, you see Harvey, pleasant. There's someone, Harvey, come have a cup of coffee. That's what you came for. It's in alignment with what you want. It's very pleasant. Knowing the feeling tone that's accompanying what happens is part of mindfulness. It's part of being conscious of what the experience is. When the feeling tone is unpleasant, aversion arises. You want whatever it is that's happening to not be happening. Or you want yourself to get out of there as quickly as possible. It's aversion. When the feeling tone is pleasant, there's grasping. You want this. This is what you were hoping for. This is your preference. You want to grasp it. You want to hold on to it so it doesn't get away. You want to extend it and be involved in it and immersed in it. This is the happiness you were looking for. All of that's very fine and natural, but aversion can lead to action. It can lead to the action of pushing away. You know, the example in the Harvey story is, not at all acknowledging Harvey exists. You might be that averse. And maybe later you can apologize to him and say, I was just in a terrible mood. I couldn't deal with anyone. This happens. But that's aversion. And you actually are hurting Harvey's feelings by doing that. It's harmful. So clearly, it is not the kindest, most compassionate, most wholesome response. Perhaps the kindest, most compassionate, most wholesome response would be to greet Harvey and say, Harvey, don't say a word. I need to tell you, I'm in a terrible mood. I had a bad day yesterday, a bad night's sleep. It's like, I need space. I need to be private for a while. I'm just going to go sit in the cafe by myself and have my coffee. Harvey's a nice guy. Harvey will go, sure, I understand. That's the kindest, most compassionate response to a moment of, oh no. The opposite can be true too. You're coming down the block, you're in a great mood, you see Harvey, you say hi with a lot of emotion and delight, and you say, come with me to the cafe. And then was that really the kindest, most compassionate, most wholesome response for what you actually want? Did you want to go to the cafe and sit at a table with just Harvey talking? Or were you kind of looking to see who's there and maybe sit with someone you hardly get to talk to? Um, so maybe instead of saying, come, you say, I'm on my way to the cafe to see who's there and maybe get into a conversation with someone I don't know as well. Um, and then let Harvey choose. It's very difficult to come up with these things. Whenever I talk about centering your ethical stance in the world on kindness, the question comes up, well, what about this complex situation? What's the kind thing here? It's a good question. It's a good question. The way to train yourself to be able to answer that question when situations are complex is to basically marinate yourself in kindness. Is basically to be kindness, not to act kind, but to be kind. To train yourself to develop an internal state of kindness so that whatever you encounter, however simple or complex, your response arises out of the kindness that you are. Is that asking a lot? I hope so. I think this world needs us to do a lot, and that's what we need to do. And we need to be compassionate. And compassion, is not to be confused with pity. or sympathy. It's not, oh, I see you're having a hard time, I'm so sorry. I mean, that's a nice thing to do. It's good to be supportive and sympathetic. But that's not what compassion is. At its deepest, what compassion is knowing that life is difficult for everyone, that the world keeps swirling and changing, and often in ways that is not the way that is our preference, not in alignment with our needs or our wants. And in fact, even when we have really people who are really, really close to us, and we both care about each other a lot, that doesn't mean that in any moment our needs or our wants are going to be in alignment. Two very well-meaning, very loving people can want very different things at a particular time. So there's naturally a conflict in a sense. How do you resolve that with kindness? The way you do that is first you begin with compassion. The compassion is clearly seeing that this is the world. The world is full of individuals, whether they're people or animals or plants or anything else. Every individual has needs and wants in every moment. And there's no way to make them all compatible. You know, the plants in my garden do not particularly want to be cut and put in the oven. It's not their goal in life. Their goal in life is to finish their natural life cycle and produce what they produce for their own benefit and the benefit of their descendants, like all beings. My goal is to have nourishing food, fresh from the garden. That's compassion. Compassion is knowing this, knowing that I'm eating a living being. You know, that pepper is a living being. And it had an intention, a natural intention, to fall and rot and spread its seeds in the soil. Or maybe be eaten by an animal, so the seeds pass through the animal's body and get deposited in the soil elsewhere. This was the intention of that pepper plant. My intention is to make delicious food, nourishing food. Compassion. Compassion for myself, for the necessity of being a being that needs to eat other living beings. And compassion for the plant who gets its life interrupted. And with that compassion arises gratitude. The plant, the pepper plant, is grateful to me for giving its life a profound meaning. It's not simply growing and dying and dropping seeds, it's nourishing. It's nourishing however many people it nourishes. That gives its life a purpose and a meaning that is really lovely. And my gratitude to the soil, to the air, to the water, to the sunshine, and of course to the plant for offering me its nourishment, for transforming all that sunlight and water and soil into food that is nourishing and delicious. All of this is part of compassion. So in every moment, we practice mindfulness. We pay attention to what's happening in the moment, and we know what mind state we brought to that moment, and we know what feeling that moment stirred up, pleasant or unpleasant, and we're mindful of where that goes. And as we're watching all this, we develop the knowing, the awareness of what the kindest, most compassionate, most wholesome response would be. And we make that response. So let's sit and practice this.